Welcome to Chain Chatter, a cross-chain roundtable where founders from different blockchains gather and discuss several topics, including crypto, the markets, finding alpha, the founder's road, and many other topics. All views expressed on Chain Chatter are for informational purposes only, and you should only treat them as and you should not treat them as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of their personal opinion. Welcome, Jason. Welcome, Wojtek. Carl, welcome back. Can you start in less than 2 minutes? Jason, can you tell us a little bit about Sabre Games and Legends at War, please?
Absolutely. Okay, 2 minutes on the clock. Again, I am Jason the Great, Chief Product Officer of Legends at War. Wojtek over here is our CEO and co-founder of Sabre Games and Legends at War. So Sabre Games is the evolution of the oldest video game studio in Latvia. Our team has worked together for many years, developed over 160 games with 20 million downloads. But our pride and joy that we've been working on is Legends at War. It's a massive multiplayer online real-time strategy game, MMORTS, that is cross-platform, so Android, Apple, browser, Mac, PC. And the goal is to create the best MMORTS on-chain that leverages all the blockchain technology and our favorite things about our favorite MMORTSs. So our goal is to get as many users as possible, so they have the best experience and they get real digital ownership of their assets.
Awesome. That was a very concise intro. Cal, I know you already did this a few times, but just tell the audience in less than 1 minute what Leo Finance is about and the Leoverse is about.
Yeah. So I'm Cal. I run the Leoverse and the Sooniverse. Leo is all about democratizing finance. So that's, access to finance and knowledge about finance. So obviously this podcast is a great extension of that. What we're about is just basically giving people a portal into Web3, and happy to have you guys here.
Awesome. And Wojtek, Jason already told us a little bit about Sabre Games and Legends at War, but can you go a little bit in depth about how does it work to have Sabre Games as the gaming studio and to have Legends at War as the main game that you are developing right now? I know that you are somehow still in beta or having beta tournaments or something like that. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, of course. So developing such a game is always a mix of two things, which is a passion and hard work. So that brings you to success. As Jason mentioned already, we are proud to have people who work together for more than 10 years, have more than 160 different games developed together with a great success. We spent a lot of time. The game was developed for quite a bit. Everything what you see in the game is handmade by our people. So we don't buy any assets, we don't buy any ready-made components. Everything what you will see in the game is made by us, and we own the IP. And this is very important thing. You are correct. We are in closed beta. What it means, we always wanted to have a game for people, for players. So the game is ready to go out of beta, but we want to be 100% sure that our community is able to play the game and is able to give us a feedback what should be improved or what else they would like to see in order for the game to be better. So we went into a kind of the closed beta concept, which means that we invite our partners, different partners like gaming guilds, like other associations of gamers. They can provide some players that are able to test our game for a week period of the tournament. When the tournament ends, people who win the map, they win real prizes. And that's another differentiator of our game. You have fun, you play to have fun, but because otherwise, if we wouldn't have those players, we would have to pay money for testing. We said that we want to share with the community. So instead of paying a lot of money for testing companies, we allow our community to test the game, and we share with them those amounts by founding prizes. So whoever wins the season wins some significant prize. We just closed the first beta. It was very successful. So we were oversubscribed. After the closed beta, we did like a check with our community, what they think about the game. I was not happy because they said 10 points at 10 points. So I was counting on some things they will find that
12 out of 10
better or whatsoever. Yeah, but it was great. Now we are just before the second closed beta, where we invited people from another part of the world, where we will have 2,500 players playing the game. We are already oversubscribed, but because we want to have like different sets of people, we are still thinking whether we should not add some people maybe from South America. We are still looking for some possibilities to create a better mix, because at the end of the day, we want to have like a good story behind. We want to have like the information from the community, different communities, how they see the game, how they like the game, what else could be improved in the game, and so on. So that's the current state of the game. Moreover, there's also one very important factor of the game. So the game is made for the Web2 gamers. So in order to play the game, you don't have to know what's a private key or whatsoever. It's a free-to-own game. You start playing the game, and you own the asset that you built during the game. If you are a classic Web player, you just own them. That's it. If you are a Web3 player and you'd like to use those assets to rent them, to sell them, to do whatever you want with them, you are able to do so. When the season ends, all the players who are selected for the closed beta, they receive a soulband token. So this is a kind of the badge which we give as a proof of participation. Later on, we will be introducing some utility for those badges. So it's worth to play our closed beta. It's not so easy to get into because you have to be referred by some partner of ours, but it's worth to play beta. And as I said, it's free to own. So whatever is in the game that has like a nominal value, but I'm not talking now about the monetary value, but any value. It can be like a village, it can be some building, it can be army, it can be hero, is represented on our own layer 3 blockchain, which is also our backend. And we store on our solution two things. First thing which we store is assets, because it's free to own the game. Second thing is interaction between the assets. So for example, if you improve the skill of the hero, it's interaction for the asset. We store this information on our layer 3 blockchain. If there are two heroes fighting each other, and because of that fight, one, let's say, scored up, second, unfortunately not, this is also a kind of the interaction between the assets, and this is also stored on the blockchain.
Awesome. That was a great intro to Legends of War, and also to like for the audience to learn a little bit more about the project per se. And let's just go to the overall topics. And Jason, so usually we have founders from two different dApps come join us, and then Cal and the other two founders discuss some market topics and some cryptocurrency related topics. But the reason we find this episode so special is because as far as I understand it, Wojtek is the head of Sabre Games, and you are the CPO of Legends at War, right? Okay, so will you tell us a little bit about how is it for a founder to having to deal not only with the project itself, which in this case it's Legends at War, but also having like a head or like someone to answer to, which is the gaming studio? How's the relationship? And just tell the audience what's the difference between being a standalone app and being an app that has to like align to a gaming studio?
So that's a great question. So essentially, see, we're all in the same house. So Sabre Games developed many games, and Legends of War is our flagship product, but we're of course going to develop more games going forward. But I think it's necessary to create a solid game, because a lot of people enter into an adventure, like Frodo Baggins thinking, I could carry this ring all the way to Mordor, but you can't do it alone. You need a Gandalf the Grey, Gandalf the White. You need a Sam Gamgee. You need friends that have been there before, have different skill sets that can see what you can. So that's why I think it's very, very important to have a very skilled team behind us that have been there before. Our CTO and co-founder of Sabre Games, Leon, he has already worked on a massively successful MMO RTS called 1100 AD. So there's things that on the Legends at War side, we might not even know we're walking right into, but they've already experienced it, gone through those hurdles, and they can now advise us. So it also gives you, instead of say we were just our own DApp and we had 5 guys working as hard as we can to make an alpha that comes out in 2 years. At this stage, we have over 30 developers that are fully dedicated to Legends at War that I say in the middle of the night, oh, I have an idea. For example, this is a perfect example, actually. During our first beta tournament, I definitely want to talk about it more because I was talking to them 24/7. So during our first beta tournament, we, as Wojtek said, we're oversubscribed. We had a great response, and people were always asking, like, Jason the Great, can you join our guild? Can you do this? Can you do that? And one of the things Wojtek talked about is everything's on chain, so we could prove that no one cheated, everyone could audit it. And I wanted to make sure that anyone that won couldn't say, well, oh, he made an alliance with Jason. Jason knows how to play the game, this. So I didn't fight a single person in our beta. All I fought was a hunter's hut, specifically a bunch of boars, a bunch of wild boars. The first 3 days, my armies were decimated. And that feedback created from the community, we actually changed the behavior of the boars immediately. So I was able to watch, I was able to interact with the players, and I was able to call up our developers and like, listen, guys, I'm getting destroyed. Something's going crazy. Like, I can't beat these boars. And they changed the behavior immediately. And I think it's just perfect. It's a perfect kind of blend of, like Wojtek said, you need passion and hard work. We have both here. And we have people that have the experience to, whatever I'm passionate about. For instance, on our first internal beta, we said, there's a lot of water on our map. Wouldn't it be cool if I was able to fight someone in a ship? Now we're doing, in 2 betas, we're going to have full naval scale battles. So it gives us a lot of firepower that a lot of other projects would not have. We have people that have been there before. We have 30 dedicated people, 24/7. I'll message, a lot of our team is out in Latvia. I'm out in New Jersey. Wojtek's right now in Miami, but out in Poland, we have people in Canada who are all working 24/7, coming up with ideas, putting them together and using all of our diverse resources. So in short, I don't see it as a separate entity we have to answer to. I see it as a great point of leverage that there needs to be responsibility and accountability in any project, because we've all seen it in Web3, everyone has the best of intentions, but if you don't have a plan to get there, it'll move just indefinitely out there. This keeps, guide rails, it keeps other people accountable, and you could build something that could really transform the Web3 space.
We are the company that never sleeps.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of the advantages of having a worldwide team. Thanks for the insight, Jason. Cal, going through this question as well. So the Leoverse is part of, the Leoverse has Leo Finance as the flagship, but you're also you also have DeFi products, and you have a lot of updates coming soon. How do you manage to not neglect any of those smaller projects that are part of the bigger scene?
Yeah, I think that's a constant struggle, and what you'll see is at times one thing may get a lot more focused than another thing. What I've really found that works well is separating off the team a little bit. So having a team that's focused on the DeFi stuff, having a team that's focused on the social stuff, and then just kind of overseeing both. And if there is any overlap, then you kind of have them work together. But when you've got all these different things going on, a lot of times they're kind of happening in their own little echo chambers, which is kind of a nice thing as a founder, and having a community that's excited for more updates. It kind of means that, while you're getting updates ready for one thing, there's something else that's already being rolled out because it's been, getting worked on for a while. So there's pros and cons to it. I definitely think there at times people look at it and they say that, project A is getting neglected and project B is getting too much focus. But what they don't see is that there's plenty of development that's kind of happening on both spectrums, and just the rollout time is different. And what you might talk about at one time, it might take precedent over something else. But I think ultimately when you have good communication as a project, and you're releasing, I've always been a big believer of like releasing a lot of content, written, audio, video, doing podcasts like this. I think it's just about communication. And if you can tap into the side of being able to manage multiple teams working on multiple things, and then combine that with good communication with your community, and being able to kind of explain what's happening and what's going to happen, I think it's a magic combination, especially in the crypto space where everything moves 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, and that's exactly why what Jason said is so important, to have transparency and to have communication with the community so they know things are being developed in the background. Not because they don't see it, it means it's not being worked on. And Jason, so you mentioned Web3 and transparency. So one of the advantages a lot of people give to Web3 building is free speech and autonomy. So to change a little bit the whole topic, talking about Elon Musk and Twitter, and all of this development that he's trying to do to make Twitter become the everything app and to cryptofy Twitter. Is this a threat, or is this an advantage that that blockchain and Web3 can leverage in, or use to get more exposure?
For specifically for blockchain, I think it's a great value because, of course, we know Elon is a crypto fan. And I do believe that there should be constant open communication, just as Elon said, and that's what Web3 is about. It's about being everyone's voice heard, the democratization of the internet, essentially the democratization of projects. Whereas before, or in Web2, one person makes the decisions, just like at Twitter, and then everyone else is, they're trying to piece together the pieces to understand what's happening on the back end. I think it's very important that Elon is pushing in this direction because it aligns with the Web3 initiatives. A community-driven approach where, there's not some power that be that decides, no, you can't hear this, no, you can't see this, or no, your opinion doesn't matter. Now the community really at large, one person, one vote, it's true democratization. So I think it is a great value, particularly as a crypto project owner, because it's going to show, for how long have projects or companies made an incredible profit off the back of their users or their clients, but they didn't care about their clients. And they didn't have to show that. They'd put up an ad here, it's Christmas season. So they put up an ad, here's a Honda, buy it for your family. We care about you, but they'll lay off 1,000 workers. It doesn't matter to them. But in this way, in Web3 and open communication, you can talk directly with owners of projects. You can know that if I buy this project, I can have a real say in the way it goes, and I can see measurable impacts my communications have with that. And I think it's very important that Elon's up there. Of course, Elon is essentially Iron Man in flesh. I think he's a great person to be at the helm right now. At Twitter, of course, he's figuring it out as he goes, as we all are. Like Cal said, it moves 1,000 miles a minute. But he's a very smart gentleman, and I think it's going to help us a lot.
Yeah, Web3 have to leverage Web2 social media platforms to grow their projects. And Twitter being so important and having Elon Musk in the head of that, I think it's going to be very, very positive if we manage to leverage that's social media. So Wojtek, can you tell the audience and the potential founders that are listening to this in the future, what is Sabre Games and Legends at War strategy regarding social media, and how did you build it?
Yeah. So as I said before, it's very important to have a very motivated and good team that is taking care about the particular tasks in the company. We are focused on building the game, but building the game means also constant improvement and management of different expectations of our target audience, which is our community. So you can believe or not, but we started with a strong marketing plan, how to attract communities, how to manage communities, and how to listen to communities. And this last part is very important because, as you said, it's a free speech. Everybody can provide their own opinions. We have to filter them. We have to understand what's good for that particular person only, or what's good for the whole community. Later on, we will introduce also some voting mechanism. For now, we can manage it by ourselves. So basically, the community and the number of people we have in the marketing department dealing with the community is enough to have it like a discussion and decision-making process just by discussing with the communities. But at the end of the day, we want to give tools to the community to help us a little bit in management of those expectations, and the roadmap will be built together with the community. So First of all, as I said on the beginning of this meeting, I was unhappy that after the first closed beta, we received scoring 10 on 10. Because basically, when someone tells you everything is good, you don't learn anything. You know it's good. You are the founder. I mean, it works like you wanted it to work. The best way to make product better, to make yourself better as the founder and make your organization better, is to listen to those people who see some bottlenecks, who see some fields for improvement. There is no sense going for meetings where everybody are saying to you everything is okay. It's a big sense and it's a big effort to listen to those opinions which maybe are not good for you. Maybe when you hear that you are unsatisfied, you think, no, it's not like this, but this is the real opinion. This is very important, to listen to those opinions and try to improve what you think can be improved based on them. That's all.
Awesome. Yeah. And as Jason said, community feedback is incredibly important to just be able to improve and update your project towards what the community wants. So
exactly.
And Cal, speaking of centralized entities looking to leverage blockchain and cryptocurrency, central bank digital currencies are already a thing. And even though they contradict some of the foundations of crypto, they came here to stay. Is this a negative thing or a positive thing for the crypto space? And how can we leverage the CBDC's existence as a general crypto industry?
Yeah, we've been talking about CBDCs for a long time now. I definitely see them as inevitable. I think like the US dollar, for example, being the world's reserve currency, is going to move to a CBDC. I don't know. I think it'll have kind of a net neutral impact on crypto. I don't think it'll impact what we do that much in terms of using Bitcoin as basically digital gold and tokenization of the whole idea of the tokenization of everything. I think is still going to continue. The way I see CBDCs is that people are going to leverage them the same way that they do today. It's an on-ramp, off-ramp into the real world. And for example, like you may own a lot of Bitcoin, but spending that Bitcoin in the real world is difficult in most places. So CBDCs are kind of always going to be that on-ramp, off-ramp, in my opinion. But I don't see them as like a threat to crypto, because it's, CBDCs are not crypto. They're not, they're not decentralized cryptocurrencies, at least. So the things that they offer are very different than the things that crypto offers. If anything, I actually think it could have a net positive, because most people will start to use, you're going to have to start to use CBDCs, right? So I think it'll get people into the technology and it'll get them understanding, how all this stuff kind of works. And then I think from there, it's kind of a jumping off point to realize that you're already kind of seeing it where, your wallet could get frozen, or, the government can track every little transaction you do. There's a lot of issues going on with PayPal right now, where if you supported certain, demonstrations and protests, then your PayPal wallet got frozen. And, knowing how the whole industry is kind of moving, I could definitely see that happening with CBDCs, where, say your local government doesn't like what you're doing, so they're tracking your wallet and you supported the wrong party, or, you supported people that they don't like, and now suddenly your wallet is shut down and, you're being tracked. And I think that's actually just going to shove people toward crypto, where that can't happen to you, because, there's no Bitcoin miner out there saying, hey, I don't like that you supported this guy, so I'm going to shut your wallet down. So I think, if anything, I think it's net neutral, but if it had to skew positive or negative, I think it's actually a positive for crypto.
Yeah,
I think you're muted, Eric.
Yeah, sorry, I had to stand up to close the door. What was I saying? Oh yeah, if normal people knew about the foundations of crypto and not just look at it as, oh yeah, it's just funny internet money, and they actually knew what it stands for and how it can provide the average Joe different options to achieve financial freedom, I think crypto would have been adopted 10 years ago. But we are on an uphill path. And this actually brings me to my next question, Jason. What's the strategy that you have adopted, and what can you tell the audience to building a good strategy for adoption when you are a blockchain-based, decentralized, transparent game, but at the same time, all those buzzwords for normal people are just like, oh yeah, it's just a blockchain thing. So how do you reach to those people?
Absolutely. So I think the number one important thing is I was one of those people. So I was scarred early on in my cryptocurrency journey. If my buddy Marco Lorenko is here listening in 2011, he told me to buy Bitcoin or to mine Bitcoin, and I said I don't play Minecraft. And I still think about that conversation daily, and I kept saying like, oh, I don't want to get into crypto because I didn't understand. All I heard was propaganda about, like you said, funny digital internet money. But as I learned use cases and actually the benefits, and especially for gaming. So I'm coming from a gaming background as well, where I love gaming and I love storytelling and yada. And I saw there's a utility that I had not even considered that I think is really, really powerful. And I think it could speak to, like you said, those layman people. And as Wojtek said, we are focusing on Web 2 people who might not even know about crypto or might be scared about these buzzwords. So the key is we focus on what a Web 2 person would want from the utility. You don't lead with just the buzzwords to the average audience. You don't lead to, oh, decentralized DApp, oh, transparent this, blockchain, they'll tune you out immediately. They hear, non-fungible token, they'll say, I have no idea what that is. I don't want to talk to you. They're concerned that you're going to take advantage of them. But if you talk about the use cases in game, and I think one of the best use cases that I could even imagine, that I remember even being 8 years old wondering about this, because I was a fan of a card game called Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't know if there's any fans out there. Again, RIP to the founder of Yu-Gi-Oh! He went out as a hero this summer, saving someone from drowning. If I just want to bring that up here. But in Yu-Gi-Oh! The first episode, they talk about there are 4 blue eyes white dragons. And
Hey,
when
son,
someone brings them out,
you are muted
I'm
on
muted.
Discord.
Okay. Sorry about that. So we're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! So Discord probably missed some of that. But in Yu-Gi-Oh! The first episode, Yugi breaks out. They have 4 blue eyes white dragons. They say, oh my God, I can't believe you have those blue eyes white dragons. Everyone's floored. Seto Kaiba wins and he rips up one. And you go, oh my God, there's only 3 in existence now. And I was like, wow. And I get Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. I have a blue eyes white dragon. That's incredible. I can't believe I have 1 of 4. Oh, but my buddy has 2. My other buddy has 7. And you realize, okay, that doesn't exist in the real world. All these things, if I play a video game, card game, any collectible, when I play a video game in Skyrim, I get a legendary sword. Oh, wow, I defeated the main bad guy. I got a legendary sword. So did my friend. So did my friend. And it's mythic, but it's only a matter of time till every single person has it. But in blockchain technology, you can have true rarity. You can prove this is a 1-of-1 item. I won a tournament. I got the real 1-of-1 blue eyes white dragon. And then when I see someone in a game, I'll say, I can't believe that guy has that. That looks cool. It has a cool utility. It has this much benefit. I have a real value to that. I assign a real value to that. It's a social value showing you were good enough to, say, win a tournament or you were lucky enough, however you got it. But I also say, I really want that in the game. And you feel so much better when you achieve it. So that's one of the things in games. When I used to play World of Warcraft, I used to go around and I would be like, okay, I'm going to play a hunter. I want to catch an epic mount. I want to go in. I remember I spent days walking around this desert area to get a white lion. Super cool, except for the fact that everyone else could do that. But if I could get an animal or a mount, or I can get a horse that no one else could get, that's cool. That's really valuable to a gamer. And that's something that blockchain allows. And further, in a lot of these games, and I know a lot of people have played them online, in Web 2, people still make money from their accounts. Again, if Blizzard is listening, I do not condone this. In fact, I will stop anyone that I see doing this. But someone would build up their account and they would say, hey, man, give me $60. I'll give you my login. You can now have my World of Warcraft player. And they have to do it, find people. Maybe they get robbed, whatnot. And this way, if you put 1,000 hours into the game, that's a way to monetize it. If you are, like Wojtek said, hard work and passion. If you are really passionate about it, you built up a character, like we said, we have legendary heroes. You built Joan of Arc, level 20, crazy stats. You can actually get value from that and earn. I think that's something that resonates with the average enthusiast, because they're not hearing, oh, decentralized, someone here. They're not thinking someone could just take away all their money, which is of course not decentralized, but they're not thinking someone could just steal from them, grab their wallet. All they know is they've played games forever. Games will always exist because it's a way to escape. It's a way to have fun. It's a way to connect with people. You can do all that. Worst case scenario, you play your favorite game. Best case scenario, you have a really epic sword, you get value from it, and you have something to do. And really, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to find a way that gives value to the gamers, not just outside investors who want to flip some properties, flip some NFTs. We want to focus on people that want digital ownerships of their game, because they're going to be the most dedicated, they're going to be the evangelists, and they're going to talk and have fun.
You are muted, Eric.
I left him
Sorry,
speechless.
yeah, sorry, my dogs were barking outside. Sorry about that. Yeah, Jason, blockchain allows scarcity and deflationary tokens, which is amazing for a game that wants to reward users with, okay, this is one of 100 and it's yours and it's valuable because it's scarce. So now we have DeFi and NFTs and all that stuff, and NFTs became a trend and are already fading away in terms of adoption and price and value. But is the NFTization of everything a negative for the crypto space? And how can, because there's a lot of takes on NFTs about how there's no real use cases, this is just a JPEG, or there's no real real world use. So how would a game transport the use cases of NFTs in a game to the real world?
That's a great question. Hold on, let me unmute here. Make sure I get my process down. So yeah, so a lot of people, like you said, NFTs went mainstream. You saw it on Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon. Every single person was going for NFTs, but a lot of it was people trying to flip things for financial gain. And not everyone can make an insane amount of money because, you know, the economy has to exist. So that spurred, you know, hurt a lot of people. But there's plenty of use cases in the real world for those NFTs. For example, we have the ability in one of our future tournaments. I don't know if you ever played the game Risk.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've been hurt before. So we have kind of Europe broken down into 240 different categories. And one great case for an NFT is we have the ability to buy a land digital collectible when you enter that tournament. So when you buy your land, that gives you access to a tournament. And 70% of that purchase goes into a prize pool. So now you say, okay, this is really great. I know there's money in there because I spent money to enter. I can verify that I was in this tournament, that everyone here entered. And I know that if I hold this, I can enter this tournament and I can win money. So it's not just a quick thing like, oh, I'll hold this and maybe I'll stake it, or I'll hold this and maybe I'll flip it for money later. Now it's like, say you played a game and, you know, traditional Web2 game, you're playing it for fun. It's $50 to buy. Okay. Now, if you're like, hey, this is a game you and your buddies can play, $50 to buy, but $35 of that is going to a prize pool that you can win back. Now I'm more dedicated in the game. And I know that, okay, I'm going to prove I won. And I think me and my friends could go triple our money in a month. And again, worst case scenario, we just played a crazy game for a month and we had the time of our lives. So, I mean, that's one of the top use cases I think that will help people understand NFTs. I think that's a real use case that's going to show up overall because there's a lot of problems with counterfeit, whether it's counterfeit tickets, counterfeit XYZ. It's blockchain at its core is transparency. It's a way to look at an open book so no one can cheat. So if you say, this is proven, it's here, I know who owned this before you, I know it's here, I know it's real. I think that's incredibly powerful. Nothing will take away, no hype or downturn will take away from that use case.
Yeah, it's amazing. And Wojtek, as Jason mentions, DeFi and NFTs brought a lot of opportunities to improve the gaming experience. But it seems like the traditional crypto space, which is centralized exchanges and like the old guard blockchains, it seems like lately a lot of shady information has been going out and shady practices, and we all know that centralized exchanges have like they have a free pass to do a lot of things with the user funds. So how do you see the DeFi scene evolving after seeing so many centralized exchanges going down, and you know, all the BlockFi, the Coinbase, the Terra Luna, FTX, like all of these? How does it affect crypto? A lot of people are saying that it's positive. A lot of people are saying it's negative. How do you see it?
So first of all, you when you started asking the question, you said traditional crypto, and you mentioned centralized exchanges. So in my opinion, it's not traditional crypto. I mean, the worst thing that may happen to the crypto is decentralization, because what happened, the crypto blown up so quickly that a lot of people came into, and something that should be decentralized from the beginning started to be centralized, right? And now we have the effects of that. So first of all, it doesn't matter what's the situation on the market of crypto, whether Bitcoin goes up, whether Bitcoin goes down, you have to build. So this is very important thing. As the founder, you have to build, you have to be sure that your solution that you are working on has the positive outcome for the community, positive outcome for the target market. It provides something significant that people are going to use it. Turbulences on the market, it doesn't matter whether it's crypto or not. I mean, I don't know if you remember, I remember 2001, the big internet crash, right? I mean, we had a situation like internet companies were going up like crazy. People were becoming billionaires in months or weeks. And what happened in 2001? Everything went down. And a lot of people were saying it's the end of the internet era. And today we have conglomerates, which are the biggest companies worldwide, like Google, Amazon. Those are the internet companies. So why I brought this internet? I mean, sometimes it's like this, that if market is too hot, some technology, some part of the economy or whatsoever is growing too fast, there is a lot of people who try to make money quick on that, right? And they don't care whether someone else loses their money or not. They just want to be rich, and that's it. They are having fun. They don't care, and so on. And it happened to our crypto economy as well. Yes, that's why FTX happened. Probably that's why Terra Luna happened, and many other, let's say, projects. Probably. I hope we will not hear next week another big name going into the same direction, because everything bad what will happen to this economy will just extend the period of time where we'll have to wait to another green light and reborn of some interesting projects. So this is nothing new that was expected. Some of those things would not happen if there would be like the Wild West in crypto. Regulation has to come. I know that by saying that, I will not be maybe very popular, but unfortunately that's true. There are some parts of our life which have to be regulated. So previously asked about the CBDC. In my opinion, it's something that is totally not needed, but it's a good, let's say, example that it may bring something positive for the industry, because it will be on-ramp, off-ramp, easy on-ramp, off-ramp for millions of people who don't know anything about the blockchain, right? So everything what happens to the market has its positive and negative side. Let's try to look on those positive sides. And as a founder, I can tell you one thing. My role here is to make mistakes, because that's something that helps me to be better. But I cannot make the same mistake twice, because then it means I'm stupid. So that's it.
Yeah, it's about making mistakes and putting yourself in the line, but also learning from those mistakes.
Exactly. That's why you cannot do the same mistake second time.
Yeah. Hal, Wojtek mentions that a crypto project has to continue building no matter what the market is doing. And he's right. You have mentioned before that the bear market is the perfect time to build, grow, and invest in development. But how do you manage to transfer this mindset to your team and the community?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. A lot of people, one thing you'll notice in crypto, especially with, let's say, projects that are, like play to earn or, blog to earn, basically the projects where you're actually like doing something, some sort of activity. And you can look at, like, say, daily active users. Those are a lot easier to look at than something like, Bitcoin, where, yeah, you can look at active wallets, but it's a lot harder to see like what real person activity looks like. One thing you'll notice is that a lot of people kind of come and go. During the bull market, you see a huge spike in activity. You see a lot of people jumping in. You see a lot of interest. In the bear market, you see a lot of people leaving. You see a lot of people that get inactive. And they basically, you kind of have like this whole population of people that will leave during the bear market and then resurface suddenly when the prices start going back up. And that's something I've noticed through, the last like 3 or 4, crypto cycles over the years. So one thing that I think, you asked, transferring it to community and transferring it to your team. I think to your team is easier than transferring it to your community, because the team really sees what's happening. They see, the workload. As long as you're not running out of work for people to do, I think you can keep people generally pretty motivated to keep building. And they kind of, I think a big thing is, can you find people on your team that buy into your vision? And, that might be the 1 year, 5 year, 10-year vision. Can you find people that buy into that? And if you can, then you can keep people very motivated. I found that that's pretty easy in a bear market. And the reason why I say it's the best time to build in a bear market is that a lot of devs are hungry for work in a bear market. You know, people are coming out of the woodwork, essentially asking for things to do, asking for, you know, whether it's part-time or full-time work. I found it a lot easier to hire people, you know, back in 2018. And then, you know, during this last bull market, you know, say 2021, 2022, I had a couple different devs that left the project. I had some devs that wanted to cut back on their hours. So it became a lot harder to build things at the peak bull market, just because, you know, people are making a ton of money. They don't need to work. They don't want to work. You know, it kind of, you know, good. There's this quote that I like that, you know, good times breed soft men, hard times bring, you know, breed hard men. And it's really true. Like in crypto, like you see that a bull market really just breeds laziness and people that don't want to do things. And then as soon as the bear market hits, everyone wants to work, everyone wants to be productive and build. So, you know, just in the last couple of months, we've onboarded a lot of new devs. So on the team side, I actually find it pretty easy to motivate people in a bear market, actually a lot easier than a bull market. And on the community side, that's a little bit more tough, right? Like I was saying, you see people that come and go, you see people that leave, that are less active. People start thinking everything's going to zero. You kind of have that herd mentality that starts to seep into your community, you know, kind of from the broader market, where just a lot of people get really down and out about the price. I've seen, you know, and one of the things I love to do is just read, you know, comments and posts and threads on Leo Finance, just to kind of get an idea of what everyone's thinking. And I've kind of seen that slow and steady decline of people who are excited about crypto. But at the same time, I kind of know that it starts to come back when the price starts to come back. So it's kind of it's a nuanced thing, right? Like there's plenty of people that are here to stay. They know, you know, they've been through the cycles. They know what it's like to be down and out, and they know what it's like to be on top of the world. So I think the key is kind of cultivating that core community that, you know, isn't going to leave when the price is, you know, the price could be 1 cent or it could be $100, and those core people will not leave. They're here. I think that those people are here for more than just money. They're here because they've bought into the vision too. So I would say in a bear market, focus on that core community. You know, if you can add one person per day to your core community, then that's a great thing. You know, play hand-to-hand combat. And then when you're in the bull market, that's kind of when you're going to get the floodgates will open up, and you know, you'll find some new core community members for sure. But you're gonna be able to leverage kind of, you know, having a wider audience to pool from.
Yeah, when you have needs to fulfill, bringing your A game, it's easy. But when you have everything covered, people tend to fall into a comfort zone. And just like Carl mentions, Jason, building during the bulls is hard because people don't want to work. They are comfortable and there's no need and no drive to push themselves. You are launching during one of the longest bear markets so far. So what was the strategy to pick the right people? Because I imagine it has been a different experience than launching during the bulls. So how did you build a funds and a drive runway? And what makes you wake up in the morning and stay focused in those goals, even if you look at your crypto portfolio and it's down 20%?
So that's a great question.
Jason, unmute yourself from Discord before.
There we go. See, that's why it's important to have Wojtek here. Wojtek guides me. So also what Wojtek said is, you know, there's always going to be valleys and hills. And if you're building something important that matters to you, it doesn't matter what's happening on the outside. That's noise, because you know it's going to go back up and you know you'll be ready when it's there. If you're always chasing that crest, if you're always saying, oh, I want to work when it's at the top, then you're just going to always crash and burn. You're always going to get close, crash and burn, close, crash and burn. So one of the very, very important things is our marketing team has worked together for over 8 years. Our development team worked together for over 10 years. These are people that you didn't meet 3 months ago, 2 months ago, 1 month ago, and you're all chasing a gold rush. It's not 1849 or it's not the dot-com bubble. Like Wojtek said, you know, that this has happened before. It happens with any new hot industry. People go crazy. There's a lot of speculation. A lot of people jump in, and then it's going to burst. But as you see, it doesn't disappear. The internet's still here, as again, Wojtek said very, very, very well. So during this time is the things that are valuable that are going to be built. And I like to think about it in ecological terms. So for instance, when you're having a forest, when a forest is building up, and if there's not routine fires, it'll build up eventually. A lot of dead wood will collect on the ground. And if a fire happens, it'll destroy the whole forest. But it's very important that when you're a growing forest, that there's routine maintenance, that there's some brush fires, so on and so forth. That'll clear out all the debris, all the projects that are dead, all the projects that aren't there for the right reason. And now all the projects that actually have a strong foundation will be able to grow. So I actually think it is a good thing, because before it was very easy to get attention, very easy to make noise. And a lot of people were screaming, but not saying anything. And that's what hurt our industry. So it was very difficult if you were a significant, like a really good project, if you had a strong foundation, you wanted to do it the correct way. Someone else could scream out the craziest stuff that they're going to do. They'll get some traction. They'll burn those people. Those people will leave Web3 or blockchain. And now the real projects have to deal with that or try to outcompete. But now a lot of those projects that, like we said, we've seen a lot of projects fail over the past few months. They're disappearing. And what's left is the projects that have a strong foundation. So we will build as this builds up. And now when it crests again, we will be there at our strongest, so we can help lead the forefront of Web3. So every day, I mean, you can probably hear from my voice, I take 400 milligrams of caffeine and I attack the day. I'm never like, oh my God, it's starting again. I'm literally wearing this here. I have a sword next to me. It's fun talking to people. And from, the classic corporate background, people aren't here just for a job. People are in the community and they want to see you successful. So it helps a lot when you have people you've never met before around the world saying, we're so happy with you. We wish you success. We're here. We're telling our friends. They're spreading the word. And really, you don't want to let the community down. You want to follow through and be a leader and give them faith in Web3 and show them that we're going to build something very, very powerful. So everyone on our team is super motivated. Sometimes we're told not to talk so much because we're just super happy about what we're working on here. I'll call them like, oh, I had this idea, so on and so forth. There's more ideas than ever coming in right now. I think it's almost inconsequential that the bear market's happening. And that's why we're also doing our beta test so we can earn the trust and value from the players. So as Wojtek said, November 2nd, November 9th, we only opened it to 500 people. We were oversubscribed. And those 500 people are now whitelisted for our next tournament of 2,500 people. But they told all their friends. And our key was, when you joined, we didn't ask you to buy anything. We didn't ask you to pay anything. All we asked was that you were honest with us. So when you finished the game, you got a form that said, what did you like? What didn't you like? And what would you like to see in the game? And I told them, like, if you're going to say everything's great because you think I'm going to give you money, because we did give prizes out for some really good suggestions, that's not going to work. This isn't the Coke versus Pepsi challenge. I don't care I care that you're telling the truth. So if you really hated it, I want to get punched in the mouth. I'm not going to be offended, because that means that someone else might not have liked it, might not have spoken up. So I want to make the best game possible for you guys. So all we asked was that you tell us what you wanted. As Wojtek said, the most common answer was, this is a 10 out of 10 and exciting tournament. And now for our next tournament, we're going to show them exactly what they said and how we implemented those changes. So each beta tournament is not the same game. It's an updated version of the game. It's playable right now. We could go live, but we don't know necessarily what certain people want. For example, 46% of people wanted to see more animal fights. That might be because I fought the boars and I'm the boar king. But we hear back from this community so much, and each one, they're going to say, okay, I didn't like this mechanic, and other people said it. Wow, they fixed it and they added something even better. And I think that's important, especially during this bear market, to show that we're people of our word and we're building a strong foundation, because our goal is not to just spike, really quickly take money and leave. Our goal is to be the best on-chain MMORTS possible.
Yeah, and as you say, I think one of the best team members are those that used to be normal community members, people who are already staked in the project and believe in it, and they want to build a vision on top of the money incentive. So, Wojtek, projects are falling like flies right now, and for those who have a strong foundation, this means opportunity time. You mentioned that you have more than 10 years experience as an entrepreneur. What made you go down this line and start generating a change while working for yourself instead of for someone else? And what can you tell the audience to encourage them to follow the entrepreneur path?
So a very good question. So it doesn't matter whether you work for someone or whether you work for yourself. The question is how you work. I mean, it's all about the quality of your work, which derives from the quality of life you want to have. So when you work for someone, it means that basically someone else will get benefits in the best case scenario, or will just lose in the worst case scenario from the fact what's your quality of work and what's the expected quality of life you want to have. But also there are other things related to it, like, for example, risk factors. There's nothing wrong in working for someone. I'm just saying that if you work well, if you have this passion in you, if you know what you want to achieve, if you know what you want to do, you probably are also a very good entrepreneur. As that entrepreneur, you have, of course, higher risk, because if you will fail, then you will fail, you will have no money, you will have to start over and so on, but you will gain a lot of experience. If you work for someone, it means that someone covers that part. So someone, let's say, receives this experience from your potential failure. But as I said, it's nothing wrong to be the employee. Some people, they just have different passions. They treat work as a way to have money, to be able to cover the bills, and it's okay. I mean, we founders, we entrepreneurs, we owners of the companies, we need such people. We need devoted people who want to work for us and want to create something together, something significant. It's our role as founders, as entrepreneurs, to create for them a work environment where they feel also as a part of the bigger thing. Because if they will feel like a just employee, they will leave. It's like what Cal said, it's very important to motivate people, to make them feeling they are part of the something that you are building as a founder. And it doesn't matter whether market is bearish, whether market is bullish, whether projects fall or not. I mean, as the entrepreneur, as the founder, you have to constantly improve yourself, your ability to react quickly to the changes which are on the market. Because change is the only constant, I would say, right? I mean, you can have a great team, you can have a great product, and someone close to you can develop something similar, take over your people or take over your market or whatever else. Being founder means working almost 24 hours per day, quote unquote. You have to be open to everything. You have to listen to your competition. You have to listen to the people who are happy from your product. You have to listen to those who are unhappy. You have to try to have this ability and skills to perceive and to understand in which direction market can go. So it's a very tough job. It's a very tough job. Being entrepreneur, being founder, it's a tough job. But there is a lot you can earn if you do it well. And most important thing, and that's why I'm a happy person that I'm really thankful for that, is if you do what you like and you have money from it. Because then you don't treat work as a work. You treat it as a way of your life.
Yeah, that's just plain amazing. And Cal, Wojtek mentions experience and how working for someone else, when you're working for someone else, you can rely on their experience and decision making. But when you're an entrepreneur, you rely only on yourself and perhaps some advisors. You've been an entrepreneur since a young age. So what can you advise potential entrepreneurs listening regarding advisors, picking the right people, how to detect and accept your own weaknesses, and surrounding yourself with people that add value?
Yeah, like Wojtek was just saying, it's, the thing about life is that the only thing that is constant is change. So I think a big thing is just being open to change, being adaptable, be willing to evolve. I would say it's definitely like, as an entrepreneur, you're waiting for, you're essentially waking up to fires, and you're waiting for something to go wrong. You're waiting for, X, Y, and Z to completely fail. And then you're going to have to deal with it. And the interesting part about being a founder is that you get to absorb all the success of whatever you're doing. You get to benefit from it. You have full ownership of it. But at the same time, you also have full ownership and all the negatives that come with any failure that happens. So you get to take credit, but you also get to take the beating when things don't go right. So I think for me, the biggest thing has just been adapting constantly and being open to all sorts of critical feedback. Like I think we've all been saying throughout this show, it's critical feedback is necessary, and you need to be able to hear it and not break down and run away from it. That's when people are praising you for doing a lot of things right, that's when you should probably be most concerned that something bad is right around the corner. So you need to be open to that critical feedback, and you need to encourage it. If it happens enough times where someone gives you critical feedback and you're negative towards them, and you act like you don't want to hear what they're saying and don't have an open mind to it, then I think the people that will give you that feedback will actually just leave. And those are probably some of the most valuable people to have around. So I'd say what I've learned most over the years has been just to listen to that feedback, constantly reiterate, always be kind of questioning myself and questioning what we're doing. I try really hard not to get too comfortable with how things are going. Like I said, at the peak bull market, we all felt like we were, rich, going to the moon. Nothing could go wrong. The masses were coming to crypto, and I think that was the time to be the most worried. I think in 2018, I bought into that was I think that was my third big crypto cycle was 2018, and I still made the mistake of feeling like during the 17 bull run, just feeling on top of the world, feeling like nothing could go wrong. And then in 2018, I felt the pain of, crypto going down 99%. A lot of people leaving, all sorts of stuff that I was working on at the time. And it taught me that final time taught me the lesson that I carried into this bull market, which was take a lot of profits at the peak bull market. And when everyone is saying that everything is perfect, the masses are coming, we're all getting rich, everything's going to the moon. That's when I got the most concerned. That's when I got the most conservative. I talked about it a lot of times, but built a really big runway for Leo Finance to keep building, just because I kind of knew I adapted to what happened before. And I knew that, right around the corner was something that nobody was predicting. So yeah, I think the biggest lesson that I've carried over the years has just been to adapt to whatever's happening.
Yeah, and change will always keep coming. There's I don't know the actual phrase, but there's something about change is always permanent or something like that. Yeah.
Change is always constant. Yeah.
Constant. Yeah.
You just have to adopt it. You have to adopt the change, and that's it. Wake up in the morning, go to the bathroom, look into the mirror, and tell yourself, today I will try to be a better version of myself.
Exactly. And just embrace the change. Yeah.
Great life advice.
Exactly. Jason, Carl speaks about full ownership not being for everyone. And that's not a bad thing. It's actually there are actually a lot of different types of passion. Not everyone wants to be a founder, but some people want to be involved or work in crypto projects. So can you share some insights for people who want to be involved in crypto projects, but they are not interested in founding their own dApp or project? How can they approach, like, let's just say you or another founder or another CEO? How can people start working in crypto without having to found their own project?
Absolutely. So I think it's the same as with any other industry. So the biggest mistake people say is they're like, oh, I have a great idea. I need to jump in. I deserve a chance here. But treat it like anything else. Prove it with your actions. Prove that you want to do it with your actions. So learn everything you can in the field you want to enter into. Show it. If you can't tell me, if you come up, I have the greatest idea for a video game, I want to enter video games. Everyone has an idea. Everyone's had the idea for Amazon. Everyone's had the idea for drones. I can tell you right now, I have an idea for a flying car. You'll say, how do I make it? I say, I don't know. But when that comes out in 50 years, I can't be the one that said that was my idea. You have to show that you're willing to put in the work to figure it out, and that you're willing to put in the hard stuff. So it's not just a fun, exciting, wow, we're in crypto, we're making a video game. You have to prove that you can, you're responsible, that you have a skill that's valuable. You have to build up a skill that's valuable. So if you're an artist, don't draw something on a piece of paper and submit it and say, I want to be a video game artist. No, you have to learn the process of modeling. You have to learn the process of animation. You have to take those steps to show that you are at the stage where you can actually be value. Because it's not we're not doing giveaways here. Everyone has to work to make it worthwhile. So it's a democratization, of course, of everything. But that means that it's not just a founder or not just these people. If you want to be a member of the company, you have to add real value to push it forward. So I would say that whatever field you want to be in, if you want to be on the financial side, if you want to be on the social media side, if you want to be on the animation side, game development side, whatever side, contract side, the first thing to do is develop your skill set. So before you reach out and say, I want a job, develop your skill set. So if someone says, okay, what are you going to do for me? You have that answer. Well, I've done this, this, and this. Here's my resume. Here's how I can add value to your organization. So again, so you should show out, I am able to do here, here, and here. So you can immediately get plugged in, because if someone hears, well, what can you do? Well, I don't know, you tell me. It's not going to work well with any industry. So the most important thing is adding value to yourself. Like Wojtek said, every morning when you look in the mirror, say, how can I be a better version of myself? So if I want to be a smart contract developer, how can I get better at that? If I want to be a game developer, if I want to be a social media marketer, how can I get better at that? And it's not going to be glamorous at first. It never is. You need to say, hey, well, if I want to approach a company and be honest, say, I have no experience. Can I intern for free? Can I be a community manager for free? Can I study under this? You're going to learn a lot, and that's your payment. You're going to learn how to do that. So when the next opportunity comes, just like we talked about building in the bear and be ready for the bull, right now, it's your personal bear if you don't have the necessary skills. So build, learn what you need to learn, offer your services, offer to work under people, gain as much knowledge as you can, gain those skills. So when it's time, you could step in and now earn your spot there. So I think it goes with any industry, but just everyone could say they're passionate, but put in the work to prove it.
Yeah. And I was actually just I have been working for crypto projects for a number of years, and I have found that the best team members are those that do not want money but want to build, but they just don't know how to, or they just want to be part of something bigger and put in their efforts into building something that is already there. Wojtek, Jason already gave us the perspective of working for a crypto company and how can people approach a founder to work there. But on the other hand, we have the founder's point of view. And this is something I already asked before, but it's a very interesting question. Crypto gave 16-year-olds the funds to start companies, the tools to start a company without any real world knowledge. And like, for example, you have 18-year-olds with $20 million that want to start something, but they just don't have the traditional 50-year-old CEO experience, or they didn't really build their way up. So is this a good thing? And how can founders like you influence all these young founders that are driven? They have a lot of passion, but they might not know all the intricacies of founding a project or founding a company.
So there is the sentence that longer you learn, you realize how stupid you are. So basically, it doesn't matter whether you are 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old. There's always a space for improvement. The point is that, first of all, you have to have this ability to learn from others. Myself, I love spending time with people who are smarter than me, who have more experience, more knowledge, because even by discussing with them about anything, even about private stuff, you learn a lot. And that's the first thing. Secondly, people who have experience, they are very happy to share that. And usually you don't have to pay that. So that's my few cents to those young entrepreneurs. If you want the advice, for sure there are people who are good enough and experienced enough to give you that advice. Carl mentioned before that one of the very important thing is to have those advisors and the ability to learn from them, right? I mean, there is no one person who knows everything. And sometimes the smartest person in the room does the biggest mistake. And it's nothing wrong. You just have to realize what you can do, what you cannot do, and you have to try to find out whether there are some people around you which are experienced enough to help you. And that's my biggest advice. Additionally, why we are going to conferences, those meetups, to some evening meetups also as well, because those are the places where you can meet people similar to you. Also young founders, or also experienced people, someone who has knowledge to share, or someone who is looking for this knowledge. And this is the way how people can interact and can get this common knowledge, can interact with others, can ask some people, can you be my advisor? Can you help me? What do you think about this? That's my point of view. That's how I see the path of my project. Can you help me with that? And you need to have the ability of listening to people. I mean, this is the biggest skill the founder can have, the ability to listen to others. Doesn't matter whether they are saying you are good or you are bad. It's your decision what you do with the knowledge you will receive from those people, right? But you have to have this ability to listen and learn from them. And that's it. I think that, that's the best advice I could put here on the table. There is a lot of people who come to me, as probably you know, I'm from Poland. I'm a big supporter of Polish projects. There are several projects that I am advising. I mean, it's not like an active advisory because I'm fully focused on my baby, quote unquote, to be the most successful game on the market. But if someone needs some help, if someone wants an a devil's advocate role or something like this, I'm always trying to help people, and I'm pretty sure other experienced people do the same.
Yeah, if you're the smartest people in the room, you are in the wrong room. You're totally right. Wojtek, you mentioned that a lot of people come to you for advice. This is just a question that I just thought of right now. How do you stay light-minded and focused and with your feet on the ground when so many people come asking for you for advice? And like how do you stay grounded?
Mm-hmm. This is also a very good question. So you have to have you have to take care about the quality of your life and quality of your work. So basically, you cannot be distracted. If you have some work to do, you have to focus. So you cannot, in the same moment, answer to email, check something on WhatsApp, on Telegram, or whatsoever. Yes. So what I do, and this is my style of work, my day is divided into 15 minutes time slot. I mean, I have the biggest outcome of my work when I work for 15 minutes and then take a short break. By the break, it means that that's the moment where you can answer to someone important because someone is messaging you or whatsoever. But you have to schedule that. Even using calendar is not just using it for meetings. A lot of people use calendars just to put the meeting slot. It's not a good habit because basically sooner or later your day will be full of meetings. And unless you are not a world best speaker, meetings do not bring, let's say, value to your company. They bring something because maybe you do the business development, maybe you sell, maybe you learn, but you have to have time for doing your job. As the founder, there is a lot of job you have to do. As the CEO, there is a lot of job you have to do. The same BDM, the same CTO, and so on and so on. So a good habit is to put into your agenda some time slots for things you have to do. And also, if you have on your plate like 10 things, very important things to be done within one day, it's also a bad habit because it's not possible to do 10 things or in one day, or those are not the most important things in one day, right? So you have to know how to strategize your day, your week, and this is the solution. And it's not something that you can learn from the book. I mean, there is plenty of books, Get Things Done, and so on. So my advice, try to find out your own routine, something that works for you. I tried, for example, to work for 1 hour and then take a break. And 1 hour is too long for me. I'm starting to get distracted after 20 minutes, 25 minutes. So I decided to do this 15-minute slots. And that's something that works for me. But for someone, it may be too short because he will say, in 15 minutes, I cannot do anything done. So for someone, it may be 1 hour. You have to find your own routine. That's all.
Yeah, and a lot of people work differently. There are various approaches to tackle the same issue.
Yeah.
And this is just like there are proven ways to be productive and be efficient. Some might work to for many people, some might won't. But Carl, following what Wojtek mentions, how do you organize your day and what's the best way to be efficient and productive? There will always be unannounced fires to put down that will mess with that schedule. So how can you stay productive without allowing everything else to burn down?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, one thing that I've learned that works well for me is when I first wake up in the morning, I don't just turn my phone on and start, seeing what's blown up overnight. I'll give it a little bit of time. I'll slip into a little routine, and get my main like focus work done. So if I have any announcements to write, or if I have anything important design wise, because I'm pretty much the chief product designer at this point, so I tend to be doing mock-ups and getting things ready, and that's pretty much solo focused work. So I like to wake up, I like to do my focused work that doesn't require anybody else, and get that out of the way while my mind is fresh. And then I'll turn my phone on, start seeing all the messages from overnight, which is usually quite a bit. And then I'll start kind of tackling whatever fires are coming up, maybe something on the UI broke, X, Y, and Z needs to get paid, or something like that, just typical business management type of things. And like Wojtek was saying, like one of the things that I like to do is work in small chunks. I work for, I would say I probably work for around like maybe 45 minutes or so. And then like you said, I start losing focus. I start getting a little scatterbrained. So I'll get up from my desk. I'll, maybe take a phone call or something that's, low effort, but still needs to get done. And just kind of like relax, turn my brain off a little bit, maybe grab a cup of coffee. And then I'll come back to it with a fresh mind, maybe 20 minutes later, start answering more messages, get back to developers and team members who are waiting on things. And then, I'd say later in the day, so I'll take a big break, mid-afternoon, and then later in the day at night, I'll kind of get back to some more creative work. If I have to post some content, if I have to do some mock-ups, I kind of come back to it with a really refreshed mind, after I've, worked out or had lunch or something like that. So that's kind of how I frame up my daily routine. I think for every founder, it's probably a little bit different, but I think for the most part, it's a similar kind of trade-off of creative, deep solo work and, managing people and putting out fires. I think that's kind of unavoidable as a founder. So I'm sure for most people, it's some kind of combination of those two things, but done in, various ways.
Yeah, one of the best advices I have heard in my life is that you have to get the most important stuff done while your brain is still in alpha mode, which is very early in the morning or very late at night. But sometimes you depend on your team, and having a team from everywhere in the world can get in the way of efficiency. So, Jason, how do you deal with a diverse team with diverse backgrounds, cultural differences, and from different time zones? How do you make efficiency be a top priority when you're dealing with a team from pretty much everywhere?
You're muted, Jason.
Oh, I just said something very, very impressive. No one heard it. Just trust me. So it's a great question again. So I think first I'll touch the cultural differences. I think it actually makes us much stronger, also much funnier, because I called myself Rigatoni when we first started, because I thought that was a very good pun. Our office in Riga. If you are a Latvian speaker, you probably are offended by what I just said, because it's a very funny clashing. I won't go into it right now, but I think it's very, very cool because one, it's something interesting to connect about. Just this morning we had a call. We said good morning. Annette, our project manager, said, "Haha, I love hearing good morning. It makes me feel fresh, like the day starting again." We really enjoy working together from different areas, so we can all learn so much about each other, and we all have different views on maybe the same topic. So that I think makes anything stronger. I think no matter, even if you're all in the same geographic location, you want people that think differently or from different backgrounds always to blend together. It always makes the strongest, because you don't know what your blind sides are, or you might be too biased towards one thing. So I think that's great, but it always is a issue with time zones. Sometimes I'll have calls with someone from China or India or Bangladesh, and then there's a call with someone from the UK, a call with someone from California. So really it's about planning ahead. You can't rely on, I want to talk to the developers. It's 1 p.m. my time, I'll call them, because it might be 8 p.m. their time or 1 a.m. their time. So it's about getting into that schedule where you say, hey guys, we need to connect every day at this time. It's going to be my morning, your afternoon. So I want the recap of the day from your side, at 9 a.m. my side, so I can work together, and then vice versa. So then they know the next day, oh, here's what happened here, here, here. And it's a dance you have to learn, especially as you get more and more people involved. You have to learn how to dance together, and it takes work, it takes effort, and it takes planning. And sometimes in the beginning, it's going to feel like pulling teeth, but you can't really grow if everyone's just growing in random directions. Because just like you said, it's difficult to manage a team where everyone's at different time zones, and to every person, their time zone is the most important. Obviously, that's what their life is built around. So you can't be a successful company if I'm saying, no matter what, we are talking at 2 p.m. my time because it's the best, because that could be 2 a.m. everyone else's time. And even if they show up to the call, one, they're not going to want to stick with me. And two, they're not going to be doing their best. So you have to find times you can all agree on and block those out indefinitely or as needed so you can work ahead. And then you have to find the cadence, because you're going to be talking about the day ahead. They're going to talk about the day behind, and you have to know that language. So I think that's the most important part, just understanding where everyone is and being respectful of other people's times. For example, like I'll learn about so many different holidays every day. It'll be 4th of July here. Our team in Latvia doesn't know about it, or it'll be Thanksgiving in Montreal. I didn't know Montreal or Canada had a October Thanksgiving, or we'll find out it's a name day here, or it's this. And it's interesting. You get to learn about other cultures. You have to respect them, and you get to be a closer team for it. So I think really the hurdle is the time zone, but the cultural differences are a great strength for us.
Yeah, and I think one of the trickiest things to manage is to run a worldwide project and keep in mind that not everyone is familiar with a term or with a holiday or with a mindset. So yeah, Wojtek, you mentioned the internet crash in 2001 and that you went through it, and you also mentioned change. Most of the people who are the current crypto audience or potential founders were probably born after 2001. So what's your strategy for successfully adapting to constant change? And how do you stay updated and as a top talent that can tackle any issue, no matter how new in the industry it may be?
That's a very, let's say, a long question, and there is a lot of things that may be answered to them. So first of all, you, like people say, you have to know your stuff, right? I mean, you have to know the market you are in. You have to understand how it works, because otherwise you will have no time to listen to that market. I mean, if you will go to any single website about the crypto news, you will realize how many new posts are going there daily. If you can imagine that there is probably 10, 20 sites like this, which should be monitored because they may be important, it means that if you don't know what is important, what is less important, you would spend like half a day just reading news, which would bring you nowhere. So from my perspective, what is very important, first of all, I don't have TV at my house. I believe this is like a total waste of time, because you are just listening to someone's opinions, not the facts. So first thing, buy facts. I mean, try to understand, even if there is a news, try to understand what happened. Because if you will understand what happened, not just what someone wrote in the news, then you will be smarter and you will have your own opinion. And this is very important to, let's say, learn from something, but have own opinion. Secondly, believe your team. I mean, you have to create a team for every organization. The biggest challenge for the founder and the biggest task for the founder is to create your team, someone that will help you. There is no one-man army. I mean, those times are gone. You have to have your soulmates. You have to have your people that you trust, that you rely on. Someone responsible for marketing, someone responsible for business development, someone responsible for product development, for even for higher management. I mean, we spend a lot of time discussing here what's the difference, what's better to be employee or to be founder or whatever. If you are a founder and you want to have the best employee, sooner or later, you will have HR management. You can do it by yourself. You can have the staff for doing that. You can even call it differently. But honestly, it's HR management. What is HR management? Is the way how you make all of those people that work for you happier, not just more rich or having money, but happier. Putting their name and being proud of putting their name on your project. That's very important. So what I do, I always care whether people that are just under me, whether they are the right people, whether they are motivated, whether whether they are on the right place even. Because sometimes you hire the person, this person does something for you, and you realize that he is a good person, but this is not a good task for him, or this is not a good place for him. That's the role of the founder. You have to have this ability to sit with this person and tell him, look, you are a great person, but this is not a job for you. And then, or you have to find something else for him if he's good for something else, or simply you have to terminate the contract. This is nothing bad, because if you terminate contract for someone who is not a right person for that position, it means you give him an opportunity to find the place that he will feel better. Because if he is not good at what he is doing, it's not like just me or you as a founder, we are unhappy. He is unhappy as well, because people feel that. People feel that they don't fit to the place. So learn, talk to your A team, create this A team, and try to manage every day the situation that everybody, the whole ship, goes into one common direction.
Wow. Yeah, that was great. Carl, Wojtek mentions that you have to buy facts and not opinions. And this brings me to the final topic, the information war we are going through right now. People are not suffering from lack of information. We are exposed to an overflow of information and misinformation, both from the media and from the person next to you. Can blockchain solve this? And if so, how do you envision this happening?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting. I was actually just listening to a podcast about this, about information overload and how difficult it is to navigate today's society, and waking up and seeing your phone and just getting immediately anxious from all the things that you're hearing, whether it's things that are directly impacting you or just things across the world, and you're like, you just start freaking out about all the things that are happening, and it feels like the world is ending. And it's kind of this idea of like mainstream media, fear porn, where they're just trying to get clicks and they're trying to get you to react, and they do a pretty good job of it. I don't know that blockchain directly will impact this information overload. I think blockchain offers us a way to store that information in a decentralized and better way. But I think information overload is kind of still in its nascent stages. I think the amount of information flowing at us is only going to increase as time goes on, and more people. There's still plenty of people around the world that aren't on the internet. So the internet's only growing. This information superhighway is called that for a reason. And today we have as a normal person walking around with a smartphone and internet access. I and all of us here listening to this have more information at our fingertips than the president of the biggest country in the world just 50 to 100 years ago. So our brains are not evolved to handle all of this information. So going back to something that I think Wojtek said really well was, you need to have a routine in your life. You need to have something that you can kind of focus on a daily basis. And I think if you just kind of sit around, it's kind of like being proactive versus being reactive. If you're proactive, it means that you have a routine that you follow. It means that there's something important in your life that you're chasing after. And if you're reactive, it means that you wake up every day, you hear the news, you hear what's going on in the world, and it strikes all of your anxiety points, and suddenly you're living in this bubble of complete chaos. So I think avoiding the chaos, avoiding the information overload really comes from routine and having kind of a control of yourself. And you could look at it like a river, right? If you let a river flow with no curves in it, with nothing kind of guiding it, then it's just going to overwhelm. But you could guide it. You can have different checkpoints where say you split it off into a smaller stream, and if you can kind of do that in your own life with all this information that's flowing at you, and kind of give yourself ways to just get away from it. Find a time during the day where you just shut your phone off and go to the gym or go walk outside and just and just not for a second, just don't be connected to the rest of the world, because being connected is an amazing thing. It lets us do, this podcast, which wouldn't have been possible 10 years ago even. That's an amazing thing. But at the same time, humans didn't evolve to be constantly overstimulated. So find some downtime. That's what I would say.
Yeah. And speaking of information overload, which was what Carl mentioned, we are now in the attention economy. And it seems like we're rapidly evolving into being a Black Mirror episode. Jason, we have ads everywhere, notifications all the time, psychological marketing getting better and better. How can you leverage this, but also how can you stop being so swarmed with all of this?
So I made a funny comment saying handsome, trying to cut you off, but yes, I cannot stop being so handsome. This mute thing is killing me.
Jason, unmute yourself on Discord.
I'll say double mute. So yes, so I think really the attention economy, I mean, it's always existed. Now there's more nuanced ways to approach people, but propaganda and ways to get people outraged, to control the masses has always existed. I know everyone says, now like, kids are always on their phones, they're always going to pay attention, not going to have this. I know when I was growing up, it was, kids always have a Game Boys, they're not going to pay attention, they're always going to have this. In the 60s, it was, people have TVs, they're not going to pay attention, they always have this. In the 30s, it was people have radios, they're not going to pay attention, they're always going to have this. Before, there's a very funny image that shows people from the 1920s are like, I remember times on the train where we'd talk to each other, we'd interact, but now everyone's on their phone. And there's a picture of the 20s and every single person has a newspaper held up. It was just a different method. So we have this rose-colored thing like, it's changing so quickly. Before we'd interact on a one-on-one basis, which is true to some extent, but we've always had people vying for our attention. Now it's just easier, instead of, three major corporations or, oligarchies that can control that information. Now, instead of just three giant ones, there's thousands of people who can use whatever tactics they want to get there. So really, it's let the up and coming guerrilla marketers get that attention. And I think as long as you are able to leverage attention, you're creative, you know what you're trying to sell, I think it's a great boon. Because before, if you were in the 50s, they're like, do you have hundreds of thousands of dollars to get a radio spot or a billboard and hope someone's going to go buy it? No, the average person wouldn't have that. But now there's a great example here. 2012 Chronicles. It was a movie that had a low budget. Michael B. Jordan was in it, but they had guerrilla marketing, because what they said was, people in the movie, they fly around. What can we do? They got drones, they did cutouts of people, they had them fly around the Brooklyn Bridge, people called into the police, now they had free news attention. So for $3,000, they got hundreds of thousands of dollars of attention. So it's all about how can you leverage your skill set and your messaging to get outsized attention for it. So again, I don't think it is a Black Mirror episode. I think it's just changing the way we think about it. But as long as you recognize there's always going to be that innovation curve that's going to change it, there's going to be something next with, Neuralink telepathy or something. But there's always going to be a change in how we communicate with people. It's just about adapting to it and recognizing now is a better time than ever, if you are creative, to be able to get attention to your project, because you don't need $1 million. You just need a creative plan, a creative team to execute it, and an interesting way to talk to your consumers.
Wow. Yeah. I don't think I have anything to add to that. That was amazing. And just to wrap up, Wojtek, I would like to close with you. And this is just a short question. We've seen it all during 2022 regarding crypto and collapses, scams, there's been everything. What's your prediction for 2023 in general?
I believe that there will be more and more fascinating projects that we will see on the market. I believe that NFTs finally will be more adopted, mass adopted, I will say, that there will be no JPEGs or whatsoever. I believe that financial markets will start adopting NFTs as a great way of providing financial services to people. NFT is great for that, and it's a very good fit. I believe that unfortunately, first half of the year we will have like we have today. So no up, no down. Market has to reborn after all what happened till now. But there is a bright future, and I believe that second half of the year we will see some good outcome of it.
Al, what about you? How do you see 2023 going down?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be interesting. I think, when you look at global markets, I think there's a lot of attention on, the Fed and monetary policy and recession talk. So I think, global market wise, there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on what's happening. I think, locally to the crypto space, we're just going to see, new projects, new innovations, like Jason was saying, that innovation curve is always ebbing and flowing, right? You're always going to see coming. You're always going to see people who are scared of it. You're always going to see people who are in love with it. So I think that's just going to continue. And yeah, I mean, I think being in this space has really taught me that the fast-paced nature of everything is actually super fascinating. It's kind of what keeps me here and keeps me interested. My whole life, I kind of, I grew up on technology, right? So I always had a short attention span, always looking for a new kind of dopamine fix to keep my attention interested. And I think crypto has kind of become that ultimate thing where the industry is changing so fast that, I never get bored of what's happening here.
Yeah. Jason, what about you? But first, we want to see the sword. Oh, I think the background is not gonna let you.
It'll happen. Don't worry. I've been here before. And if my parole officer is watching, this was asked for. I am not doing this in a threatening manner. I'm still expected to be released. We got to keep it here. Let's show you the hilt. There we go. Huh?
Love it.
Nice.
Yeah, very, very good. So the same question, what we see in 2023, I think Cal and Wojtek really nailed on that head. First, Cal, I also have always looked for I need things fast-paced moving. I need things exciting. I really, really thrive when things are happening all the time. I don't like downtime. I don't like excitement. So really, I think there's going to be a lot that's going to happen, and regardless, the projects that are willing to work in that ecosystem are going to see success. What we have to do is, if you are building a project, keep your head down, regardless of what the market does. You are dedicated to that project. You are building that project. So it shouldn't matter if there's a storm outside. It shouldn't matter if it's snowing, sunny, whatever. No matter what, you have to build that project, and you have to listen and be agile and say, you still listen to the outside, say, okay, maybe we wanted to go outside and play today. Oh, but it's a terrible day to go outside and play. You have to be willing to take those adjustments. So I think no matter what 2023 brings, every organization, every project needs to be willing to listen to the market, be able to pivot as needed, but always stay true to their core values and just move forward. Because again, then at the worst case scenario, you're just going to build the best project you can, and you'll be ready when the market is right to enter in at the space you want to enter in.
Awesome. You heard it from the founders, but not financial advice. Cal, do you want to say anything else, or do you want to close this?
No, I think we're good. Yeah, I really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like we covered a lot of interesting, even just life topics and life advice. So yeah, it was a pleasure having you guys on and meeting you guys.
Pleasure on our side. Thank you for inviting me.
Likewise. It was incredible. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys. Can you
you.
stay 5 minutes after the recording is done, please?
Of course.
Anything for a fan.
Thanks, everyone. This was Chain Chatter episode 5 with Jason from Legends of War and Wojtek from Sabre Games. Thanks for tuning in. And if you're watching this in the future, we will have the season number 2 starting in January. So stay tuned.